It's a qualifier to a qualifier. But it's not even
this is the qualifier to Riyadh qualifier.
Yeah, but it's not a qualifier to the qualifier because anyone can play that. It's a qualifier to get conditions so that your expenses are covered for the qualifier.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you know that? Even for Hikaru. Hikaru said if he does badly in Norway chess, he retires. You're getting the Norwegian to help you in Norway. He's going to tell you all of Magnus's secrets. All right, Fabi, here we go. We're in Norway. It's been a while since the last time we chatted, a couple of weeks. We had a nice video with Anna Kramnik. Did you enjoy that?
Yeah,
did you watch
that
it?
was in Paris. I didn't watch it.
You did not watch it?
But I remember doing it. I mean, that was back in
everything.
Paris, yeah.
Yeah. That was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun. Let us know if you guys enjoyed that. But yeah, I'm doing commentary. You're playing the usual, it seems like. And it's a very strong event.
Mm-hmm.
Top 5 players in the world. And Wei Yi, live and on the May rating list. And Wei Yi, who's I think number 8, number 7, something like that. So super strong event. Probably not the strongest in history, but one of the strongest ones in
I would say
history.
so.
Yeah.
By rating, one of the strongest tournaments. Yeah.
And of course, we have the women's section as well, Norway Chess Women, which is pretty strong also. Ju and Jun, Lei Ting-je, number 2 and 3, outside of the retired Hui Fan. I think we have Muzichuk, Vaishali, Sarah.
Wait. Muzichuk.
Anna Muzichuk.
Anna Muzichuk.
Yes, she's here.
Sarah
Vaishali.
Hadam.
Koneru.
Is that everyone? Did we say 6 players?
Yes.
Lei Ting-je, Ju Wen-jun, Muzichuk, Sarah Hadam, Koneru, and Vaishali. That's
6.
That's 6 players, yeah.
Very strong in that regard as well. So, yeah. Take it away. How are you feeling? How are you feeling about the tournament? You're playing Hikaru tomorrow?
In the first round white, yeah. I mean, the tournament is set up that it's double round robin, so I play each player with white and black.
Yeah.
So the drawing of lots is not too relevant in that sense because you can play these players on the first round, on the 6th round. It doesn't really matter too much. But it'll be interesting because not everyone's a bit too warmed up, I guess. Magnus hasn't played classical chess in a while, but he has played rapid recently very successfully. Hikaru has played classical last in the American Cup. I've played more recently, along with Gukesh, the most recently. Wei Yi, it's been a while too. I think Weigenze might have been his last classical event. We've all participated in the recent Champions Tour. I believe, I'm not 100% sure about Wei Yi, but definitely Gukesh. Definitely Magnus Hikaru.
I want to say he qualified already. I want to say Wei Yi qualified already.
Yeah, but you still have to play.
Congrats to you, by the way, as well. You
qualified.
qualified.
I made it barely, but I made it. The final list will be Magnus Hikaru Jan, Ali Reza Duda Arjun.
I really thought Wei Yi also made it.
Wei Yi made it.
He made it,
yeah. But you still have to play both events even if you qualify.
Right,
before.
of course.
Wei Yi, Maxime. I'm already lost track of the amount of players I've said, but it's 12 players who have made it, 4 more to make it in the future.
Abdusadorov, I think he made it.
Noterbeck, Noterbeck made it comfortably. Maybe forgetting someone, but that's already probably most of them.
Yeah, that's going to be exciting. There's something happening right now in Dallas. I think it's called DreamHack. It's one of the qualifiers.
It's a qualifier to a qualifier, but it's not even.
This is the qualifier to Riyadh qualifier.
Yeah, but it's not a qualifier to the qualifier because anyone can play that. It's a qualifier to get conditions so that your expenses are covered for the qualifier.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you know that? That's kind of ridiculous, actually.
I spoke to Hikaru about it.
So this is a qualifier to the qualifier, but only to get paid for the expenses.
Yeah. And there's also some prize fund for this. So if you're in the US, I guess it kind of makes it, you're playing for money, right? And probably not too much effort.
We were discussing that a little bit, yeah. Serrana is there.
I mean, it's pretty clear who gets top 4 because there are 4 quite strong players,
right? But there's also groups.
Yeah, it's all groups, but it's 4 players make it, so it's clear who's gonna. It's Aravind, Serrana, Bortnik, and Andrew Tang. These are these are going to be the players who make it.
There's Mark Hyman.
But he's not in the knockout section. he didn't make it there.
He didn't make it. Yeah.
There's one other like Indian GM whose name I didn't recognize. Rahul.
Srirav Varti something. I think he's from Dallas.
Okay,
And
makes sense he's playing, but
there's a bunch of like UT Dallas guys that.
But those four I
probably
mentioned
play for
are
this
like
one.
heavy favorites. But the brackets are also weird. I don't follow too much, but I did follow a tiny bit.
It's the most random event ever. I think it's part of the something bigger with many other things happening there. I know Fiona I was following her stories, and she was posting about some very weird cosplaying situations. But yeah, it seems quite interesting. I didn't know that it's a qualifier just to get paid, but there's going to be another one in Riyadh just a few days before the main event starts. But you've already made it, so that's pretty.
Yeah, I
good.
don't have to play that luckily. So
Back to Norway chess. You're playing Hikaru tomorrow. Obviously, there's a lot riding on this one. Because even for Hikaru said if he does badly in Norway chess, he retires.
I think he said,
Or he takes it a
in the
bit
press
slower.
conference. He said that he'll play the World Cup if he. So
If he does
he's
well.
trying. No, if he doesn't do well. If he does do well, I guess he just like coasts to the rating spot.
Mm-hmm.
I think basically if he gets overtaken by Gukesh on a rating spot, then Gukesh or Arjun, right? Those are the two possible people who can overtake him.
Mm-hmm.
Gukesh, even though he's the world champion, he still would take the rating spot away and would turn it into like another. It would convert to something else, like the second FIDE circuit spot or something. That's how it works. Don't ask me
Sorry,
why.
what? No,
Like-
if he takes the rating spot, doesn't the
It doesn't go
next
to
on the rating spot?
No, it goes to the second on some other thing.
What?
Yeah,
That's so strange.
which is why Gukesh is actually relevant. Like if Gukesh overtakes Hikaru, and he would be the closest currently to do so.
No, I think Arjun is.
Oh no,
is
Arjun,
closer.
yeah, because Gukesh had a bad,
Romania.
which is actually very good for Hikaru's qual because it's the bigger the gap, of course, the lower chances are. I don't see how Gukesh or Arjun are going to bridge a 20-something point gap in one tournament.
They need to have a really good event, and Hikaru needs to have a really bad one. That's
Yeah, I mean,
basically the only way.
Basically, yeah, you'd
Like
have
minus
to
3 plus 3.
gain 10 points and lose 10 points both. I think to gain 10 points, you score +2 in this tournament. +2 is gaining 10 points. Because basically, the average rating is such that everyone besides Magnus is more or less 50% is an expected score.
Yeah.
So +2, you'll get 10 points, which of course is not crazy. I mean, +2 out of 10 games, it can definitely happen among any of these players. And -2 in 10 games can also happen. Just because the average rating is so high, you could actually see it, but still, that would bridge a 20-point gap, and Hikaru's like 28.05 maybe.
Yeah.
Arjun is like 27.82. So still, even if that happened, a +4 difference between the two players, still, but then it would be very close because of course they're going to play more events and they could also gain more rating. I can't take the rating spot. So if I pass Hikaru, that doesn't matter, I think.
I think you don't matter anymore, right?
I don't
You
matter.
already made it.
And Magnus
you're not
doesn't
being
matter
counted in anything.
because Magnus could of course just decide to screw Hikaru
But he
over.
declined, right? He declined to be part of the cycle.
I mean, you can't decline to be part of this. Like you can decline after you qualify. You can't decline to be part of the race.
So how would he screw Hikaru?
Well, by just playing enough games.
I see. And
But
if
he's not gonna
Magnus
do that.
and if Magnus takes the first spot, then Hikaru,
Well, then he would
Wow.
decline it, and then it would go to someone else.
someone else. But that's ridiculous.
That's my understanding of it, at least.
So you're sure about that?
That's my understanding of it.
Okay, that's such a ridiculous rule. I had no idea about this. Okay, that's
But yeah,
news for me.
I mean, Hikaru is the favorite to qualify by rating at the
Huge,
moment.
yeah.
Big favorite. It's not a guarantee. But then in the press conference, he said if he doesn't make it by rating, then he'll try in the World Cup. And if he doesn't make it in the World Cup, then I guess he doesn't try beyond that.
Mm.
Which, like, he probably won't play the Grand Swiss, I guess, is what he's saying.
Yeah.
But okay. That's not really my concern at the moment.
Of course not. Of course not. What are you playing for in this one? You've qualified the candidates.
To win, I guess, to play well.
The Grand Chess Tour. You're doing quite well in that one. What are you playing for in this one? What are the goals, the aspirations?
Just to win, or to play well is the first thing, and to win would be the major overarching goal.
Yeah.
Like I thought Bucharest was a bit of a step up. I mean, compared to I was having these American Cup, wasn't happy. Obviously, Tata Steel was really bad. So Bucharest was a step up at least. I played a number of decent games. I missed 2 chances, I would say, to win the tournament. But I would have to take both chances, then I would get +3. Let's say more likely I would maybe get one of those chances and then tie for first. But because I was in pretty shaky form, I think compared to that, it was a step in the right direction, which I hope will continue. Mm-hmm. So yeah, first thing is to play well. It's also Armageddon. It's a very prestigious tournament. Winning it would be great, which is of course what I'm trying to do. But I think it's maybe more important just to think about playing like a good quality and then see how the tournament develops from there.
Absolutely, no. It's a very fun format, I feel. 2 hours, no increment in the first 40 moves, and then you get like 10 seconds. So obviously you need to speed up towards the end. You don't have a lot of time. Those 10 seconds go away super fast. It's not 30 seconds. So you cannot rely too much on that. We always have a lot of fun events happening in those last few minutes. And then if you make a draw, you go into the Armageddon, which is kind of, I think is the only big tournament that's doing that. 10 plus 10 against 7, 10 minutes for
in a round robin. Matches, it's normal, right?
Yeah.
Like American Cup, for example. Matches, you get the Armageddon.
Yeah.
Or you mean the specific time?
This 10 minutes
this
against
one is
7 minutes.
This one is only here, yeah. You sometimes see it in the bidding process, like when then you might see 10 against 7.
Yeah.
Or 10, 659 or something like, which is basically the same. But this exact one is unique to Norway chess, 10 against 7. I think it's a bit of an edge for black, but not a huge edge, but some. I think
you do?
Yeah, I think like if you look at the results, maybe it's really close, but I would say if you look over all the years, probably black has some edge.
Yeah. You've won it once. I think Magnus won it quite a few times. Hikaru won it 2 years ago. That was sad.
Yeah, that was sad.
I don't want to remind you of that, but that was a sad situation.
We're the only players who have won the tournament.
Yeah.
Myself and Hikaru once.
Yeah.
Magnus, I think 6 times. Yeah, I think that sounds right. And the other players, Gukesh has played once only and wasn't very close to winning. Wasn't considered. I think he had a good tournament.
Yeah.
I think he actually got 3rd.
Yeah.
And then Arjun has never played. Wei Yi has never played, to the best of my knowledge. Maybe I don't think Wei Yi has played.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. And Arjun, I don't think so either.
No, that's for 100% sure. But like Wei Yi, I thought maybe one of those years like 2016 or something. Because there were a number of years I didn't play, like 2016, for example. So I don't remember the exact list of players.
Yeah, I remember 2023 when you and Hikaru were battling for first. Magnus had probably the most frustrating event ever. He didn't win going into Armageddon and winning the Armageddons, but losing all his rating and falling behind.
Yeah, it's not enough to just win Armageddon. Like the thing is, it's better to win a game and lose a game than to make classical 2 draws.
Yeah.
Because a win is 3 points. So if you get 3 points from 2 games, it's the same as winning 2 Armageddon games.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just better to have decisive results. They're very valuable. Of course, if you win all your Armageddons, probably have a decent tournament score-wise, but you probably don't win, even if you win every single mini-match by Armageddon with 10 draws. And also probably feels a bit frustrating to draw 10 games.
He was frustrated. But
he actually lost games. Well, he lost to me.
He lost to you, yes.
I don't think he lost other games, that's true. Did he? He almost lost to Aryan. He
almost lost against Firouzja also.
Yeah, he almost won that game too. No, that was a draw. But that was very close. He was winning, he was losing.
He was winning and losing. Yeah.
Against Aryan, he was basically, he made a move with like a fraction of a second on the clock.
Yeah.
And also, his position was extremely dangerous at some stage, like borderline losing, if Aryan had found one like dangerous move. So he was That was a tough event for him.
Arjan is in town.
Yeah.
Big reveal.
Yeah.
Are you ready for the big reveal?
It's
Reveal it.
No, I mean, I'm working with Arjan this time around. So.
Yes. So you're getting the Norwegian to help you in Norway. He's going to tell you all of Magnus's secrets.
I'm not sure he knows all Magnus's secrets.
Yes, that's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah. Grigory is playing in, where is he, Brazil?
Brazil, yeah. There's the American Continental, which qualifies to the World Cup.
Yeah, that's a big event as well. Who's playing in that one?
Shankland is the first seed, Grigori is second. Jospim is playing.
Jospim?
One of those rare Jospim over-the-board events. From other American players.
Brandon Jacobson, I think.
Jacobson, Andrew Hong. Definitely other players I'm missing. It's pretty strong overall.
How many players qualify from that one?
Like 4.
Mm.
4 spots. So it's not super easy, but for the top seeds, it's probably expected that, they'll probably qualify. Like you'll probably see Grigori and Sam.
Mm.
And I wouldn't be shocked if you see like Brandon, Andrew.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it's it's an open. A lot of things
Anything can happen.
Yeah. It's going to be tie breaks also, so you never know with tie breaks, right?
Yeah. Back to Norway chess. Tomorrow is the first time in Classical where Magnus is playing Gukesh. Obviously, that's kind of...
Wait, it's not the first time they're playing in Classical.
Since he became a world champion.
Okay, yeah.
Since he became a world champion. Yeah,
Which is not too long ago.
Yeah, that's... they played Classical before. But yeah, that seems to be somewhat of a big thing, especially for Norway. And how do you see that one playing out?
I don't even know who's white.
Magnus is white.
Magnus is white.
First game, yeah. Obviously, you have the battle between...
Usually it's like you kind of say, okay, the expected result is a draw.
Yeah.
Magnus is a favorite. Just not too many groundbreaking comments. I don't know. Gukesh recently, he didn't feel dangerous in Bucharest, but it's one event. It can always change.
He was shaky, yeah.
I just didn't feel like the power there, but of course it can change any time. It's not... people have bad events. It doesn't mean that he's not dangerous. He's also a top player. He can come back and you forget that he had a bad event.
Exactly, yeah. And he's young, obviously. Oscillations will happen.
Yeah, I don't know. There's not really much you could say that's groundbreaking, and also you can't make many big or bold predictions. What are you going to say? Gukesh won't win the tournament? It's not really a bold prediction. He's obviously not a favorite to win. Gukesh will win the tournament. I mean, he's capable of it for sure, but...
Yeah. Anybody can win the tournament.
Yeah, anyone can win the tournament. It's not like a bold prediction either, right?
Yeah.
That he will beat Magnus with black in the first round, that would be a bold prediction, but it's not going to happen, so I don't know. Of course it's possible. He could win with the black pieces, but it's unlikely.
Yeah.
I don't know. I find the game interesting, but I don't find the narrative about it particularly compelling because I don't really see what the narrative is. Okay, Magnus is playing Gukesh. It's happened before. It'll happen again.
That's true. It's just Gukesh. There's going to be a lot of eyeballs on it because
of course
he's the world champion now. A lot of people think that Magnus is the strongest player in the world, and then you have that clash. You have Gukesh with a lot of prep, one of the best prepared players in the world, and then everybody's perception is that Magnus is somewhat out the door in terms of preparation for classical chess in general.
That's just
which is complete nonsense.
Yeah, it's always been kind of the case. Magnus works on openings clearly.
Yeah. You think he still works on openings?
But the thing is, you don't have to work on openings for classical. You just work on openings. He plays rapid chess and he has ideas, and he has obviously a wide base of knowledge. So
you think he basically just tells PH, "Hey, you feed me"?
No, I don't know how they work. I don't know.
You feed me information.
I don't think he's sitting at the computer pressing the spacebar all day.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that he doesn't have work or doesn't do work, and people work in different ways. I mean, you can see the work when he plays his games.
Rapid and Blitz events.
You don't see it in freestyle because there's nothing to do there, but he does also practice in freestyle chess. Just that's a different type of work. But if you look at his last match against Maxime, obviously he's playing topical ideas, and his openings with black are extremely good
Mm-hmm.
because he also did play 5 World Championship matches, and
Mm-hmm.
that kind of work doesn't ever go away. Like the
Mhm.
openings you get there, it's different than just when you like prepare an opening for a World Championship match. It's different than just preparing it for like kind of cramming some knowledge before the game and then you might forget. But there it's like you play training games and you
Mhm.
practice and
Mhm.
you get real practical experience in your openings.
You would say you still remember some stuff even years later from those type of, or it's just
I mean, if you're
instinctive.
like my repertoire from back then, which I don't play anymore, which was like the Petrov.
2018.
Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if I picked up the Petrov again and just got like fully up to date with the modern stuff, which is it's actually not that different from back then, I think that a lot of the practical experience I had from all that work would be very useful.
Mm.
But again, that's 2018. I haven't really played the Petrov much in the last 7 years. That's an ocean of time.
Mm.
I mean, Magnus, for example, his martial that he's just kind of kept up with the entire time. So you basically, I mean, when you say someone's like not good in openings, which obviously is ridiculous to say in Magnus's case, but some people might have this perception, like he just sits down and there isn't like months and months of analytical work that went into, for example, the martial that he played.
Mm-hmm.
It's just,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people do have the wrong perception. There's not a single player at the top level who doesn't work hard, maybe to different styles, different degrees, perhaps.
Hikaru? Do you think Hikaru works on his chess in general? Like on his opening preparation, let's say. Obviously, he's streaming a lot, he's playing a lot.
I mean,
That's
clearly he works
can
on
be
openings.
considered work as well.
I would say he's reasonably well prepared.
He is, yeah.
Like he has kind of a narrow direction in general. It's a pretty. He also does stick to these kind of openings where the play is like very limited. It like takes it in a very clear direction. For example, the Petrov with knight takes e4, which he mostly does in rapid, but still, he takes it in such a narrow direction where white has very few options.
Mm.
It's not like if you play the Najdorf, like okay, Najdorf white has like 20 different systems, right? Or if you play the Karakhan, white has like 20 different systems. But if you play the Petrov with knight takes e4, you basically cut out everything except for that particular position after knight takes e4 and third move d4 and the bishop's opening.
Mm.
Like everything after e4 is basically that. So you cut out everything, you kind of make it a very narrow path, and then you analyze it to a draw.
Mm.
But obviously he's analyzed this stuff and with the idea of equalizing the game. Or the other line he plays is d4, d5, c4, c5, which is same concept in its essence is I want to narrow white's options down and then basically analyze the game to a draw. It's like sort of trying to kill.
With black, yeah.
Yeah, with black. With white it's different. It's more trying to, again, he had like a narrow path in the American Cup. It was the Catalan, which was kind of new for him, but very narrow, direct stuff, like look in the Catalan and try to find some ideas in small ideas in various lines that black could potentially play.
Yeah.
But the Catalan is also a narrow path because you cut out the entire Queen's Gambit. It's not like there's the Tarish and there's the Rogozin. You cut all that out. It's just the Catalan, and then Grunfeld, King's Indian, and Slav. I mean, there's still a lot, but okay, and Queen's Gambit except. So there's still a lot here, but you do cut out quite a lot outside the Catalan because it's not like people who play Knight f3, Queen's Indian, and Rogozin, and Queen's Gambit declined, and Vienna, and so on and so forth. And anyway, it's technical.
That's very technical stuff. Yeah, no, should be an interesting one. Wei, it's kind of a wild card, yeah, on this one. We don't have a lot of information. Obviously, he played out still. He did quite well.
Okay, he did okay.
He did okay, yeah. He didn't do well as in 2024 well, or he almost won it.
2024?
Tata Steel.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
He's tied for first.
He did very well in 2024.
No, he did win it. He
won it.
He won the playoff. Yeah. He
won
shared
the playoff.
first, and then he won the playoff.
He won the playoff. Yeah. Gukesh, I think.
He beat Gukesh in the final, but he beat someone before. Anyway,
doesn't matter.
We talked about it before. Yeah, we talked about it.
We talked about it. Yeah.
No, he scored like plus 2, I think.
In 2025.
Yeah, it was about his rating.
Yeah.
Maybe +1, +2, I don't know. But it
He's
was
an
about,
interesting player. Actually, I had no idea that he went to university. Not recently, but I learned about it this year, I think, maybe late last year. But he did finish a degree in university, so it seems like his absence from the chess world was mostly related to that as well. Not only to COVID, but maybe he was trying to finish university also.
yeah,
which is interesting.
Didn't know, but
Not a lot of top players do that, right? I mean, you reach the top, you usually decide to continue playing.
That's true. But I think it's maybe a bit different for people in China.
That's
for
true.
players, because I'm not sure that's so attractive to be, like, I don't know exactly the way that it works with their taxes, but I think that they do get kind of taxed heavily as athletes, especially.
They do.
So I don't know if it's as attractive as if you're a Western 27-50 plus player.
That's actually kind of a good point, because Hui Fan is still the top player in the world in the women's section, and she's retired more or less.
Yeah, I think
and
she
she's
will
been retired for a while.
kind of return to like rapid chess this year.
In China, yeah.
No, I mean, I think she'll play some. I mean, I have good info that she'll play some a big event. I probably shouldn't say.
Yes.
People can speculate.
Sure, let them speculate. But yeah, she kind of took the same path, right? She went to university, and now she, in fact, became somewhat of a professor at the university. I don't know what she's
I really
teaching.
don't know.
Maybe chess, but she's.
I don't really know.
Yeah, she's part of the governmental structure, let's say, or at least it seems so from the outside. I don't have inside.
I mean, she's still very good, but I don't know if she would be number 1 in the world anymore, just because it's too long of a time to go away. And then players like Wen Jun, for example, they're working very.
Who do you think is going to win
consistent.
in the women's?
I've already been asked this like a few times today. I mean, I think it's Wen Jun.
You think?
But it's like it's not a bold prediction at all.
But she's not that much higher than Lei Tingzhe. Lei Tingzhe
like
is
how she
very
crushed
close.
the match, for example. I don't know.
Yeah. She
Okay,
did
it's not.
show dominance in that one.
I wouldn't give her like over. I definitely wouldn't give her like a 50% chance.
No way.
I mean, I'd probably give her like
More than 20?
30.
More than 30?
5, I was gonna say.
No way. 35 is too much. I feel 25 is already like 1 in 4 with 6 players. But they're so close to each other. I mean, all of them, they're so close to each other.
Yeah, but
rating-wise. She did win it last year. She's the defending champion, so.
I'll give her 35.
Okay.
I would take that bet also.
You know what? I'll take Lei. I'm taking Lei Tingzhe. I think she's going to have a breakout event.
That's fair. That's possible. But you're also not going Super Bowl. You're taking the number 2 player. Like, okay.
That's true.
They asked me. I think it was David during one of the interviews. Like, if you had to pick top 3 for a women's, who do you pick?
Yeah.
And I didn't know the exact. I mean, I knew Wen Jun was number 1. I didn't know the exact ratings.
She's number
I was like,
2.
Yeah, and then my number 3 was Canero. I wasn't sure the exact ratings. Like, is Muzi Chuk higher Canero? And Canero is also
Lei's
number 3, I think. So
no, Lei's number 3.
Who's number 2?
Jun.
No, I mean in this tournament. Like
Yeah. Conero is number 3.
So I just picked the top 3. And they asked me for the guys, and of course I picked myself. I mean, if you ask me,
As you should.
then I'm going to pick myself, right?
As you should.
And then second I picked Arjun, and third Magnus. But
Bold.
Magnus was also like in the room, so I kind of said it.
To annoy him a little bit.
No, I just thought it would be funny.
Piss him off.
I just thought it would be funny.
How do you think Arjun is going to do in this one? He has the style, right, for a lot of decisive games.
Yeah, it's again, it's hard to like come up with anything groundbreaking, but he has a chance.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a bad Tata Steel, but at least
But
it
even in
ended.
Tata Steel, he kind of picked it up.
I mean, he won the last 2 games, but besides that, there was no picking it up, right?
Yeah.
He scored -2.
-2, yeah. He started -4.
It was worse than me, and I had a pretty disastrous event.
Yeah.
He just won the last 2 games, so it felt like not so, like, okay, at least there's some silver lining a bit, And he also happened to beat just like Noterbeck and Gukesh, so it was kind of relevant. Which I was like, maybe this is going to happen because everyone's thinking, Arjun is just trying to finish this tournament as soon as possible. But I was thinking, what's like the funniest thing that could happen if he just starts to beat all the leaders in the tournament one after the other? And
Who did he beat? He beat Abdusattorov and Gukesh?
Yeah,
Is that
in
it?
the last 2 rounds.
That's ridiculous.
And then Prague also lost the last round against Vincent, so everyone, they all started to,
Yeah, that was
because they were both
ridiculous.
+5, they went to +4, both of them, right?
Yeah, that was kind of insane. Cool. Are we talking any drama, Fabi? Are we talking any drama? I don't know, there's so much, there's a lot of drama happening.
Well, what is,
besides that story from Mitropa Cup?
Yeah. Yeah, I saw the video by
Moroni, Luca Moroni.
He made a video in Italian, because he was, for people who don't know, the Mitropa Cup is a tournament played between
nations.
Yeah, but only countries in basically in the middle of Europe. I don't know exactly how many teams there are, but it's countries like Italy, France, Hungary, Slovenia, Slovakia, Croatia, and Germany, and it was held in Slovakia. I don't know which city, but in Slovakia this year. And I played this event back in the day. I played in 2006. I was like recently reminded this because in Bucharest, who came up to me, it was this Croatian grandmaster. He's does commentary, and he's also
Aljože.
Jankovic.
Yeah.
Jankovic, yeah.
Yes.
And so basically, I had a disastrous start, and then Italy took me out for a game, and it was for the game against Croatia. And he was, so he was like, we almost played back in 2006, but they rested me for that game, so we didn't play. Anyway, so this is a Mitropa Cup.
But I think he was, I thought he was a bit older. Didn't this have like some sort of an age category, like under 20 years?
No, Mitropa Cup's open. I mean,
open to anybody.
When I played, the team was Godena, Fabio Bruno, who's also an older Italian international master. I mean, not old, but
maybe
he's
Brunello, Vocaturo.
No, it wasn't the young guys at all. It was
Fabio Bruno, Godena. I haven't heard that name in a long time.
Well, Godena was like the strongest Italian player
one of the top guys. Yeah.
Or for many years the top guy, right, in Italian chess. And then there were a lot of young guys who got good. But for a long time, Italian chess, it was like, okay, back in the day, there were some quite strong players, like Mariotti, for example, was. But then, like when I first went into Italian chess, Godena was the top guy. And I'm trying to think of the other players on the team, but it was like so long ago. I kind of feel bad. But anyway, so it was mostly, and then it got younger, and then it was like Vocaturo, Brunello, Sabino Brunello, Daniele Vocaturo, Daniel Diverni, Dennis Rumbeldoni. I think Axel Rumbeldoni, his brother, was also kind of young, so I don't think he was on the team until a bit later. But it was these young guys. But the first time I played, it was me, 14 years old, and playing on first board, and then a bunch of more experienced and
old guys.
I mean, I wouldn't say old guys, but
I mean compared to you.
Yeah, well,
from your perception,
I was 14.
Yeah? They were old at that point.
Okay, I mean, compared to 14,
from your perception.
Yeah, of course they were old. I mean, like Godena was like pretty close to my parents' age. Okay, this is a long time ago now.
Yeah.
He wasn't that old. He was probably like in his
50s, maybe. Yeah, 40s, late 40s, maybe.
Yeah, I would say when I first started playing, probably in his 40s. Yeah. Anyway, so this is a Mitropa Cup. It's not usually countries don't send their best players, but sometimes they do. A lot of countries, like for example Germany, they might send a youth team, or Hungary, they might send a youth team because this is not like the Olympiad. It's a little bit, a little bit less prestigious, I guess. So anyway, it was held in Slovakia, and then I watched this video, and it was a story about. Thing is, I'm not going to say any names because I actually don't know any names of any of the players, but like some guys from the Slovak team, they broke into the room. First of two women from Slovakia,
also from Slovakia.
And then later in the night from 2 women from Hungary, because they had a key which they used for the like team meeting a week before, and it's somehow still functioned for the room. So somehow so they were able to break in to not their own room because a week before I thought that hotels cancel keys after a while, but okay.
I guess not.
And then they were like,
that's really bad.
According to the video, they were drunk and refused to leave, and then police were called. And then the captains complained, of course, and eventually, but not immediately, they were removed from the tournament.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy.
And I don't know, but yeah, it's like a bizarre story, and
so strange what's happening nowadays in the chess world, with all these alleged situations. But yeah, that's pretty bad. Obviously, those guys, if found that they actually did that, which probably, since there's a lot of people talking about it, they probably did it. They should be ousted. It's bad. Don't do that. Why do people do that? Strange situation, and obviously there's an even not really an even stranger situation, but there is another situation with David Navara, who was on one of Vladimir's lists of questions, and Vladimir obviously reacting to that. A lot of lawsuits are being prepared. Fabi, are you ready to be a part of a lawsuit?
Not really.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Obviously, seems like Navara, at least in his letter,
I
mentioned
think
his mental problems, health problems due to that.
Yeah, it was a very heartfelt letter. I mean, like my first instinct was, compassion, right?
Of course.
I mean, still,
yeah.
Of course, right?
Yeah.
And I read through the entire he wrote a blog post or article on chess.com, one of those, right? Which basically started with a tweet of Kramnik, which contained a list. The tweet contained a list of players, of which Navara was third on the list, and there were a lot of names, and this obviously upset him a lot to be on this list, which he felt insinuated cheating or could be construed as cheating, and sent in complaints to FIDE, and eventually came out with this letter, and I sympathize, but also from the initial thing, I don't think that he was at all the target.
He wasn't. No, I don't think he was.
I don't think that this list of players by Kramnik was meant to say that I think Navara is cheating. That's my interpretation. And also, I don't think anyone ever thought that he would or did.
I would say Navara is one of the names that if you ask me to pick from a list of, let's say, top 50 players in the world, I will never pick him. Like, he would be probably one of the last ones to pick as a potential cheater. Like, the guy is so pure. Yeah.
You would never think that. And that wasn't at all my, I think this went back a while, right before it got kind of reignited. And I think at the time, although you saw his name on the list, you didn't, at least for me, it wasn't okay.
Brush it off. Yeah.
No, but I had this feeling that basically these lists, which are kind of compiled by some other guy, Mike Kagansky, right? And then Kramnik kind of...
it's kind of a team, yes. It's a team effort.
They do kind of...
operate together, yes. Like Kagansky tweets and
Kramnik will or in this case, he just copied the list and put it on his tweet. And it felt like they were kind of... It was definitely insinuating something from my perception of it. It was like saying some of these people were suspicious, but I didn't think that it was saying Navara was suspicious. Because it also had, for example, Magnus on the list, and I've also been on some of his lists, and my interpretation always has been that there are kind of players that he uses as a measurement baseline, and then players that you should probably direct your attention towards. That was my feeling. And then also some of the names were highlighted in red. So I don't know. I mean, and Navara's name was not one of the ones highlighted in red. For people who don't know who
those
Navara
are
is.
extra questions. The red ones, yeah.
Navara is a peak 2740 player. I think that might be exact, or roughly 2740. So he's been a top player, and he's still around 26, maybe 70 or so. Maybe I might be a bit off on that too.
His ceiling is high. His ceiling, whenever he's in good shape, is very high.
Yeah, you know, he's still one of like the top, let's say, 70, 60,
works
70,
a lot
some around that.
Chess, yeah.
And so, although I understood, we had this like also with Misha at some point.
Misha was somewhat accused, yeah, or like.
Well, yeah, it was like, and then I basically wrote that because I knew that he would never cheat, right? So when his name was mentioned, and in a way which I think was kind of saying like he's suspicious, then I wrote on Twitter to Kramnik like there's absolutely zero chance.
Yeah.
There's just zero chance.
This was because Misha had this huge ass watch.
Okay, yeah, he had a big watch.
Like this was.
But I just
this
said
was a big G-Shock, yeah, huge.
But then like with this one, I didn't really feel like at all that you were supposed to be looking at Navara's name on the list. I think that it was more directed at other people because also Magnus's name was on the list, and I've also been on these.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes he'll have a list like it's I don't know, Grishuk, Maxime, me, and then the onliners, and and so I mean I understood why he was upset. Like I remembered when Misha was quite displeased to be mentioned.
He was very upset.
So you understand the reaction, but also like if you're not the target of it, I don't think that like maybe you can clarify because I really felt like he wasn't at all.
I don't think he was.
And nobody, even if he was, nobody would think so, right?
I think a big impact also was because of the fact that FIDE did not reply. Like Navara contacted FIDE and tried to get somewhat of an answer. Apparently contacted, at least he said that he contacted Vladi as well. No answer from there.
Well, I want to clarify, like on the FIDE side, they did answer, like he posted the answer. I mean, yeah, it was like an answer from the FIDE lawyer, yeah,
yes.
which said basically.
But this was like months later, like I think 4 or 5 months.
Okay, yeah, maybe. No, I understand. It's perhaps a bit too delayed. I mean, I think. Like I don't know how procedurally it goes. Let's say if you have an ethics complaint, because it's an interesting question.
Mm-hmm.
If you have an ethics complaint in general, is it easy to get it down the pipeline? Is it answered promptly? Is it taken seriously? These are definitely important questions. Which, I mean, yeah, let's just say that even if, let's say he submits an ethics complaint, and even if it's decided that there was no ethics violation, then still you should go through the procedure of it, right? That's just standard for whatever it is. Like, let's say you call me an asshole, and I say I'm filing an ethics complaint against you. I mean, then FIDE should at least like look at it and okay, they decide one way or the other. So from a procedural point of view, I understand the frustration there a lot. I still feel like, you know, or at least someone should have reassured him that he was not at all the target of this.
I don't think people realized that he was the target in any way, shape, or form. Maybe he didn't. Yeah, maybe he didn't communicate it to like his friends or something like that, and perhaps he was thinking that a lot of people are. But, you know, you see your name, and then you assume that everybody, the target is on you, the spotlight is on you, right?
Sure.
But obviously, it wasn't on him. And perhaps none of his, let's say, support system, none of the people in his support system realized that he was part of this spotlight, at least in his mind. So, yeah, obviously a tough situation. Definitely, we feel sorry about it for him, and obviously the struggles that he's going through. I think that's bad. So wish him all the best, and hopefully.
Yeah, of course. I mean, he's a good guy. He has integrity, so that's why. Yeah, it's not a question that But yeah, he obviously was suffering, which is very unfortunate.
Yeah.
But I mean, if he's concerned in general, I mean, at least maybe it doesn't mean much, but I would reassure him that nobody questions his integrity.
Do you think FIDE should have addressed it to him personally sooner? Just answer his emails and try to put him at ease?
I mean, yeah, definitely okay, I don't have the exact timeline exactly clear, but their job is generally to work for chess players, right?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe it's mostly to do chess in schools work, or to create tournaments for professional players, or to create tournaments for scholastic players, but also part of their job should be to reassure players who are, you know, having who have questions, right? Whatever those questions might be.
It's a valid
or concerns, yeah. So in that case, their job, that is their job. Again, I won't say that they didn't do their job, because I don't know exactly how it went down entirely, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they weren't prompt enough. I mean, I heard that he didn't file an official complaint, but then I also heard that it's very difficult to go through the process of filing an official complaint, and also they didn't maybe directly tell him to file an official complaint, which would be probably the first thing that you should do, right? If like we hear you, and just go through this channel and we'll figure it out. Let's say that's a pretty easy thing to say if that's actually what all they had to do. Again, this is not totally outside of what I know, but like the thing which kind of stood out to me was I looked back on the initial thing, and I was like, whatever Vladimir's intention was, I don't think his intention was to say David's suspicious. Like, I really don't think that was the intention. On the other hand, okay, it's possible to misinterpret things, possible to, like, when you put out vague information, it's very possible that things get interpreted in different ways. So you might put out something and then it's not entirely clear. Like, I think Navara wrote one thing which really made sense to me, which was that the numbers on the far right, I have no idea what these numbers. It just said like average blunders. Average blunders per what? I don't know. So if you put out like vague stuff, and this kind of felt vague to me. It's like using ratings, but they're FIDE Blitz ratings, and some of them are probably a bit outdated. And then it does kind of muddle things a lot. And then you have this like average blunders, which was, so you put out all this vague information, and then it can be interpreted in a lot of different ways, which for me, it's like, okay, if someone interpreted that I was cheating, I mean, I've been accused indirectly. It has actually happened to everyone. It's kind of a part of chess, and as a whole, it's part of chess that there's suspicions, which go back many years, many decades, and so it's sort of part of the territory that you either get accused directly, indirectly. Directly is obviously is bad, and then especially, I mean, if you didn't do it. we had this thing a few weeks ago, right, with the guy who wasn't very good at chess, and
Dr. Nubo.
Yes. And
great challenge, by the way.
And he just cheated directly, and everyone knew it, and so everyone accused him directly, and it was true. There are, of course, cases where someone's accused directly and it's completely untrue. This has happened for sure. I mean, people have been accused wrongly. And then there are cases where some insinuations are made, whether true or not, but they're just kind of a bit vague. And then there are also just the numbers are put out there, but the numbers, unfortunately, it is kind of the case that there are an enormous amount of possible numbers and ways to interpret them, and ways when do you start measuring them. Like what Kramnik listed was average blunders once you get down to your last few seconds, looking over the course of 700 moves. A lot of those numbers are arbitrary. 700 moves is arbitrary. You have to have played a minimum of 700 moves. 10 seconds is arbitrary. blunders is actually kind of arbitrary because it's going to be based on evaluations, based on the engine, which again could be different engines, show different things. So when you put out all this like kind of vague information, it can be interpreted, and also we don't really know what it means. Like if we're just looking at it objectively, we don't like, let's say you have this number and it shows red for one of the players, which was kind of I think the red was like, okay, my interpretation was this is a bit suspicious. It's again based, like it was only the players under 2,600. So that's why, for example, David wasn't listed because he was over 2,700 or over 26 something. So he wasn't. But why is under 2,600 and why not under 2,620, under 2,580? I mean, it's again,
arbitrary.
Like these are questions that if you have like some methodology, then you have to start asking these questions. The other one is like a purely ethical case. Should you be doing this at all? I mean, okay, I think
asking questions for me.
No, but it's for me it's an interesting thing because also, like Kramnik, I do actually worry about integrity of chess. We assume that's his worry.
I think everybody is.
Right, and it's very difficult to ensure it. But again, you can want to look out for the integrity and then have it totally an approach that leads you in a totally wrong direction. And it is very frustrating though. I mean, this is like one instance kind of came to mind recently, which was I played a Title Tuesday. We streamed it. It was a while back, and I scored 9.5 out of 11. I shared first, and I got third on tie breaks. And I was happy with the tournament. I lost one game. I was happy with the tournament. It wasn't, okay, tie breaks, bad luck, right? And I had lost one game pretty badly, but it was against a person I knew, strong grandmaster. Didn't think anything of it at the time. Okay, I lost. It was pretty one-sided. I found out later that the player had been banned mid-tournament for cheating. It was their second ban from the website, and not only did I lose the game, but also my tie breaks were spoiled because of that.
Right. Yeah.
Because he didn't play any games after he was removed from the tournament, which completely spoiled my tie breaks.
Yes.
And it does, when you start thinking about these things, it is very frustrating because it's like, okay, yeah, when you make an accusation and let's just assume it's false, then that's damaging. It is also damaging if you just kind of play and then you get cheated against and you don't say anything because you're afraid.
It's very frustrating. Yes.
It's like they're both damaging to people. There are people who've gotten cheated against, lost money significantly.
Yes.
And maybe, okay, in this case it was like a few $100, and it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But maybe in some cases it was thousands, and maybe it was important to that person. And maybe also damaged their confidence. So it is, it's not like this is a one-sided thing in general when it comes to...
It's not. And I would say probably, even from my perspective, somebody that doesn't necessarily have big chances to win a prize in Title Tuesday or to make a living out of Title Tuesdays, it's very frustrating whenever I play them, which doesn't happen very often because almost inevitably I play somebody that I feel has been playing a perfect game of chess. Yeah. And then later on I find out that they're probably cheaters. So
I think there's like one solution.
I think it happens to everybody.
Yeah, it is actually like demotivating. Some players they're able to okay, just it's part of the game, let's say, and healthy approach, but it's not that easy. It's easy to say that, to tell someone to do that. I think there is an approach which to me feels like a solution for the players, but probably is not a solution for the host of the tournament, which is that if someone has been banned, like actually caught red-handed, then they should kind of notify the players they cheated against. But it's probably gets a little bit complicated, and they don't want to do that because then people start to make a fuss online, and
you can get sued.
Maybe also I don't know. I mean, I don't know the legal side of it, but it also feels unfair that if someone cheated against me, and let's say they know to the point that they've banned the player, that I will never know about it, or might never know about it officially. Maybe I'll hear about it through some,
or you'll see that player is banned. Yeah, you'll see that
or
account
not,
is banned.
Because sometimes their account doesn't necessarily show it's closed.
Nowadays it does, right? Did they change that?
I think
they changed that.
I think
right?
it's, for example, I think in April they come out with these numbers, right? They say like 2 GMs banned.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like we don't know. This is actually serious. It's like if you had a sport, 2 of the best athletes in the world in that sport were caught, and then nobody knows about it.
Yeah, that's bad.
I don't think that that's kind of normal in other sport, right?
No.
You would think that people would hear about it, not that they would see 2 anonymous GMs got banned, and then they have to look through the list of thousands of GMs to maybe figure out, or maybe not, which nobody.
The only problem with chess is that you cannot 100% prove it. Like, you don't have the tools. We cannot really rely only on algorithm. We don't have blood tests like in any other sports where doping is there. It's happening, and even those situations sometimes they're false positives. But in chess, it's pretty much impossible to 100% say that this person has cheated, unless it's that rule where it's super blatant, right?
But even that, he can say, like, everyone will understand that he did.
Yeah.
But he can't say, no, it was just pure mathematical luck. I just stumbled upon all the.
If they continue saying no, it's impossible unless you red-handed.
You kind of know, like for us it's red-handed, but for some people, if they don't understand that an amateur cannot play 20 of the best moves in the position in a row, will they actually be able to understand that?
I guarantee you that there's some person on the internet that believes Dr. Lupo did not cheat.
Okay, there's some person on the internet who believes everything.
Probably that they believe they're better than you. They would be able to take it down in a match or in a game.
I've actually heard these things before. I once got asked by someone how do you know that you're, like, they asked me my rank. I was like, okay, whatever it was at the time. How do you know you're that rank? And I'm like, yeah, but it's all. They were like, but what about the players who have never played before? You don't know their skill level.
Yes.
It's like, well, yeah, I guess I don't, but you probably aren't very good if you've never played before. But they didn't understand this point. They were like, well, maybe someone has just been practicing on their own.
Yeah.
And they're super, they're just sitting there with a chessboard and they never, again, I can't prove it, but probably if they're that good, they've played a tournament at some point, and they probably can't get that good without playing tournaments anyway. So, but you can't. Anyway, that's besides the point. I was going to say something. Yeah, it is frustrating. On the other hand, maybe the correct position to take is that anyway, it is kind of like being a vigilante in some ways. It's like, if you don't try to stop crime on the street, you don't try to catch murderers, you leave it to the police, because probably if you try to catch murderers, you might chase after the wrong person, and
it's also not a US Championship. It's also not Roland Garros. It's the Title Tuesday, right? Like, the entry point to play the Title Tuesday is not very high. You wake up, you put some pajamas, and you log in.
Yeah, it's not.
You're not paying anything to get cheated on.
Yeah, no, that's true. On the other hand, at the
You
end,
do waste time. It's a waste of time.
Yeah, I think this is kind of a matter of perspective, because if, let's say, there is money there, so Chess.com puts a certain amount of money to Title Tuesday, they feel that there's value there.
Yes.
Probably the value for them is that they get some streamers and they get some publicity and so on, and that makes sense. So when a player plays in Title Tuesday, they are kind of contributing to their product,
To the prestige,
right?
yeah.
They are kind of working in some ways for Chess.com for the chance to get money. And let's just say that I have a chance to win the first prize, which everyone does, and maybe a very small chance for some people, maybe a very big chance for others, but everyone has a chance to win the first prize of Title Tuesday. And they basically go in that lottery, either to win the money or to perhaps get some practice, but they do so by giving the website basically the right to their games. It's sort of like labor that you're giving your games.
Of course.
And
if you're playing, obviously, if Magnus plays, there's
but
added
everyone
prestige.
to some extent, yeah. But especially the top
huge,
players,
yeah.
for sure. If nobody played, then they would probably.
They wouldn't have a problem.
Yeah.
without
If their top player was 2100, they would probably not
That's it. Yeah.
continue the tournament, right? And let's just say that I got cheated against in a game. It's possible. Maybe the chance is low. Maybe it's like a 2%
Well, you
chance.
just mentioned that it actually happened to you.
I mean, it's happened to everyone,
So-
right? Nobody will deny that at some point someone has cheated in Title Tuesday against someone. So it has happened at some stage in the course of this tournament against whoever it was. And those players perhaps were caught in most cases, perhaps weren't in some. Maybe they caught everyone. I can't prove how many they've caught or not. But that result had a very good chance of taking money away from the person who was cheated against. Because maybe it happened in the first round and it didn't matter so much, but maybe it happened in the 8th round when it actually had relevance. And that is sort of a theft from
It is.
one player to another.
It is.
That person was wronged.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's a minor thing. Maybe $200 was stolen from them.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, if I steal $200 from you off the street, that's a crime.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Even if I don't do it violently, if I just like steal your wallet out of your pants, if I pickpocket you, it's still a crime.
That's a crime.
So
You go to prison for that. Most of the times.
do you actually for pickpocketing?
If they catch you, I would say, yeah, it's theft. Why not? I mean, what do you think? At least they
Maybe
book
it
you.
depends. I don't know. Like
It depends on the
the amount of
jurisdiction.
money, right? Also,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Jurisdictions have different laws. Yeah.
Lawyers can tell us in chat. But okay, the point is like someone was wronged,
Yes.
and
Yes.
do they ever have like even closure? Like, do they at least know this person did it against me? Probably not in like any cases,
Yeah.
because I don't think that there's a policy where they tell you ever
No.
that you were cheat. Then unless you get your rating points
You
refunded.
get your rating points back, but don't give you a name.
But I mean, you can like sometimes trace it back to rating points.
Yeah.
But I think also if you play too many games after, then they just kind of like they feel it's kind of baked in.
Mm.
Because I had this recently where I was going through my games. There was a player who I was 100% sure at the time. I didn't even report the person, but I was 100% sure. It was a 3-0 game. And then, like, I mean, it was an untitled player. This guy just crushes me. And then I just checked back a few days later on the account, closed for fair play. It's okay. It was obvious at the time. I never got a rating points refund because I think after that game I went on a small streak. I gained a bunch of rating, like 15 points, and it kind of calculated that more or less I was level. So you don't always get the rating points refunded, especially if the person is banned after a long period of time. I also had like another funny one recently. I played a guy. From the very first move, I was sure that I can't even tell you why. I was just sure from the very first move. And then over the course of the game, first they kind of play a bunch of decent looking moves. Then they pre-move something, which was a bit weird. But they pre-move a bad pre-move, so they lose a piece because it didn't take into account that I have two equally logical options. So they lose a piece, and then they proceed to defend like an engine a piece down. But not like the Lethal Night odds, which is actually very tricky. But if you just go with like a standard engine which plays the first line, where basically it just slowly trades pieces off and then loses. But it takes a really long time because it doesn't blunder any more material. It just slowly trades pieces off and then eventually loses. People can look up the game. It ended with
So you won that game?
I won the game. I was absolutely, completely convinced. So convinced that I showed Grigori the game. I was like, look at this guy. This guy defended basically just the first line, but in such a stupid way that he didn't cause any complications. Like completely mindless cheating.
So he didn't even know how to cheat.
Well, he just played the first line.
Yeah.
But it was such a simple task
Yeah.
that it's like when you play Lead and Night, you understand it's super difficult because
How did you play that guy?
3-0,
What was his rating?
20 something.
So he got to that point. Like,
Yeah.
he was probably a fairly decent player.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, no, he was a cheater. It just cheated to that level.
But you get caught, right, at some point.
No.
You get caught at plus 200 if
No.
you cheat probably. Huh?
You
No,
get
you don't think
caught.
so?
I mean, there are accounts who are like just exchanging points. Like they just blunder making two against each
You
other.
were showing me that.
And then they just like get to 3,100 or 3,200.
You
It
showed me
actually
that.
happens often.
Yeah.
It takes a while. And So I showed Grigori the game, and then a day later the account was banned for fair play. So it's actually fairly, like when it's kind of the obvious cheating, it's fairly, from the feeling of the moves, you actually can,
of course.
can get the
You
idea.
can, I can. Like the general viewer will not be able to do that.
No,
That's the
yeah,
problem.
it
And
takes
that's
a
the
bit
problem.
of. But then when I played this GM, I didn't think anything of it because he was a guy who was friendly to me. Actually, I was like, oh, this is a friendly guy. I just remembered him being like, okay, and it was probably stupid of me, but I just thought someone who, not a friend, not like someone I know well,
Somebody
but someone who's
chatted
friendly.
with, yes.
Yeah, you chat offhand at some tournament that you play together, or just say hi.
It's pretty sad, right?
And
it
so-
just destroys like somebody that you know in your eyes.
I wouldn't even hold it against him so much, but still, like,
It's like,
I actually wanted more from the website than from the person.
yeah. But you cheated against me. Like I'm not going to be able to ever have a conversation with you.
I don't really see it that way, but I want, it feels worse from the website to me. I don't know if that makes sense. It's like, I want you to do what I feel is your job. Like, I understand someone is going to cheat here and there. I don't know who, I don't know when, I don't know why. They have their reasons. Sometimes it's very stupid reasons. Like, there was a guy that we talked about who is like a very rich streamer, I mean, very successful streamer. Like, why is he doing this? He's getting invited to a tournament, but he just wants to look smart on the internet to the viewers. It's a strange motivation, but it's a clear motivation at least. And I just don't want to be wronged by the website that I'm playing. Like it's like if I play a tournament, if I play the US Championship, and okay, the chance of getting cheated against is very, very low. It's minuscule, right? But I want them to do their job
Their
to
best.
make sure that it doesn't
Yes.
happen, and if it does happen, that I get compensated. So I don't like, if I played the US Championship and someone cheated and I lost a point and they didn't return the point to me in the tournament, I would be like, you can't imagine how angry.
Sure.
And they would also probably get sued for that because
Sure.
it feels like rightfully
Yeah.
I shouldn't lose points in the tournament for that, right?
No, if somebody gets caught cheating, then probably everybody that played with that person gets a 0. And
That's what you
everybody
would
in the
think, right?
tournament, if it's a round robin, gets a 0.
But it's not how it
Just
happens
doesn't
online.
count. Yeah.
Of course, online it would probably
Online
be,
doesn't.
it would probably be very difficult to manage that because then
Extremely difficult. Yeah.
you catch it so late and then it's a Swiss tournament and everyone has to be compensated and suddenly you have like 8 people
In a Swiss
on-
tournament, it's impossible to do it. Actually, even over the board, I don't think you can do that. I don't think it happened.
You can do it, but it would also feel unfair in some way.
Yeah.
And it would also, from their point of view, if they had to like monetarily compensate anyone who got, like let's say one guy beats 11 opponents cheating, then they can't monetarily compensate 11 different people.
Yeah.
That's absurd, right? They're not going to hold the tournament anymore. It would
Yeah.
be a complete waste of they're just sort of paying out too much money. So there's no solution from their point of view. But I thought at least maybe one small solution would be to tell me that in this tournament, we're really sorry, but we
This
found out,
person has cheated against you.
or
This
at least,
account has
or at
cheated
least
against you.
like someone cheated us.
Mhm.
Like we're really sorry, but unfortunately it happened, and not much we can do about it. But you weren't an idiot.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that's the feeling you get, right? When you lose like that. Sometimes you're just like, am I an idiot? Like you start doubting yourself. You start questioning.
Yeah.
Am I playing bad chess? Am I a complete idiot? Like who is this person? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at least that you don't feel like, because okay, every loss hurts a bit.
Of course. Even on Title Tuesdays.
Yeah, even in some casual games, sometimes if you lose a game of World Championship, it hurts a lot. If you lose a 1-0 game on your phone, it probably doesn't really hurt at all. But there's, if you lose a game in a competitive tournament of any kind, it's going to sting a bit, right? And you'll probably also lose a tiny bit of confidence for just a moment at least. So it's the kind of side which it doesn't, because there's so much like anti-false accusations, which is very fair, but there isn't much like, what about the people who get cheated against, right? It's also a valid concern, I think.
Yeah, I think we've gone overboard with this one. Sorry about the footage. Our main camera died and we picked it up on the phone. Hopefully the audio is understandable. In either case, Norway chess starts tomorrow. Big event, top 5 players in the world, plus Wei Yi, more or less the same in the women's section. So there's going to be a lot of fun. You have the chess.com broadcast, you have Norway chess broadcast, official broadcast, which I will be doing commentary with Vichy, and Anna Rudolph is going to be, if you're living in China, India, and a bunch of other countries around Europe, then you're going to be able to see that live on your TV, most likely. So look for that. I don't think we have a YouTube channel for it. Norway chess maybe, but it's geo-blocked in certain countries. So you're probably going to see me as well. You're going to see Fabio a lot if you watch that. Let us know in the comments what you think about this whole situation. What you think the solution to this whole cheating situation should be. It's a tough one, and it's an ongoing one, and it's probably going to continue being an ongoing one. But that's it from Norway. Time to play some chess, and yeah, that's it. Cheers.